When I was a kid, I lived in Germany for a number of years, and every summer my family and I would come back stateside to visit family and get our fix of America. Things like Taco Bell, Walmart, and for me, getting new video games. In 2004, at the trail end of the original Xbox era, I remember buying a copy of official Xbox magazine featuring a game I hadn't heard of before, the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher's Bay. Having never seen Pitch Black, the first movie in the Riddick universe, this game caught my attention with, at the time, its cutting-edge graphics, first-person stealth action, and interesting premise of space prison escape simulator. I asked my Aunt Laura to take me to Best Buy and to buy this game, and only to go over to a neighbor's house who just so happened to have an Xbox and proceeded to play it for the next 6 hours, ignoring the food, pool, family, and the girls that were there as well, just to get a taste of what Riddick had in store for me. It was one of my favorite games upon release, but in 2022, does it hold up to this day? Now, this game's not easy to play here in 2022, as it's not on any service for purchase except a digital key on Amazon for like $20, nor is it on back compat for Xbox. So unless you have an original copy that's compatible hardware, this game is pretty tough to get a hold of. It is pretty easy to find online, however, you just have to do some Google searching, you'll be able to find it pretty easily for download, so my recommendation and how I played it was through that. I've never really been an emulator guy, but if a game is impossible to find and there's no really other way to play it that's easily accessible, I'm all for it. Do what you will. This copy was actually released on Good Old Games, which is DRM free, so you're basically just downloading Riddick, which, tends to work out pretty well. But if you like these kinds of videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button to see when more videos like this go up. But with that, let's waste no time into getting into the Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher's Bay.
Okay, close the gate.
We open the game on a ship, piloted by a merc named Johns, heading to Butcher's Bay to drop off some prisoners for some cash, basically the price on the heads of these prisoners for their bounties. The other prisoners sit in silence, awaiting the fate of the drop-off, while one is barred to the wall, far more secure than the others and probably for good reason. We play as Riddick, one of the most wanted men in the galaxy, with the Fast and the Furious actor Vin Diesel reprising his role from the movie that spawned the series as a whole, Pitch Black. I'll get this out of the way, I don't think Vin Diesel is a very good actor. Much like high-profile action stars like Jason Statham, Keanu Reeves, and even Arnold Schwarzenegger, he has a shtick for Riddick in all of his roles really, and truly sticks with it, keeping in line with his characters from the movies as well. That's not to say he's necessarily bad, but he's pretty typecasted. That is to say, Riddick generally is known for spitting one-liners, vague threats of murder, and taking everyone around him down a peg before he subsequently murders them as well.
You are messing with the natural order of things, Riddick. And when that happens, well, as you can see, people can get hurt.
Or worse, LMA just pretended to run the show, but everyone knew they fed on crumbs. Crumbs that fell from Abbott's table.
You and I are leaving Butcher Bay.
Not bad, Johns. Someday, you might just learn how to do this for a living.
While Riddick is pretty one-note character, for this game it really works. Butcher's Bay is no masterclass in character development or plot twist. What you see is really what you get, and it really works for the game itself. While it's fun to analyze well-developed characters like Deacon from Days Gone or Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2, I have a soft spot for games that are referred to as popcorn media. That is, fun to play, cool world with the amount of depth and nuance as a puddle after a rainstorm on the interstate. I really enjoy any medium like this. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Mad Max Fury Road, which really is just a quintessential action flick, but it's just supremely awesome and just a good watch. And Riddick, much like the movies and really everything Vin Diesel is a part of, is the quintessential popcorn flick. It's fun, bloody, entertaining, kind of stupid at times, and brutal, like every good action movie is. Further adding to the feeling of the popcorn action flick is the cast itself. The voice acting is stacked in a way I never truly realized until this playthrough, including the major actors and actresses from the movies reprising their roles in the game as well, giving a welcome continuity to the world and lore that the Riddick multimedia franchise has established. While this may seem like a small thing that is pretty obvious, it's staggering how this gets fucked up a lot. I think the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I started playing a bit the other day to see if it warranted a video yet, and I was alarmed about how jarring it was to not have the original cast from the supremely popular movie series reprise their roles for the game, a medium that has far surpassed movies in gross revenue as a whole. Seeing Star-Lord not voiced by Chris Pratt, was just off. Not bad off, but just something not right. In Butcher's Bay, not only do you have Vin Diesel coming back to play Riddick, but Cole Hauser is back to play Johns, the Merc, and Kristen Lehman is the voice of Saria, a voice that gives Riddick his otherworldly powers of seeing in the dark. A plotline that we'll expound on later that I do wish was kind of expanded more in the game, but we'll get there. From having Exhibit, Ron Perlman, and one of my favorite voice actors of all time, John DiMaggio, the voice of Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War.
First my tomatoes, now this.
Dad, this wind flare's not letting up. We gotta move.
No, we hunker down here. Wait it out.
This game's voice talent is pretty damn good and shines above a ton of other games of the era as well, albeit still campy as fuck just based on the writing. But while the voice actors and acting is pretty good, the story is pretty mid. So why do I love this game so much today in 2022? One of these reasons is the gameplay of Butcher's Bay, and the main reason why I was so drawn to the game in the first place. We haven't discussed it much yet on the channel, but I'm a massive fan of stealth games, from Hitman and Splinter Cell to Dishonored and even Sniper Elite. So with this being the first-person stealth game I ever played, I think I'll always hold a special place in my heart for it. Using shadows to avoid the eyes of the enemies, as well as the vents, rafters, hanging railings, and pure line of sight, you move from spot to spot, focusing on the singular goal of escaping the prison. Riddick is at a severe disadvantage through most of the game, not having access to guns for large sections, relying on pipes, shivs, and hand-to-hand combat to get yourself out of sticky situations. So stealth is normally the best option for a bulk of the game's runtime. Your only advantage comes after gaining the eye shine or the ability to see in the dark. Once you have this, the dark becomes your best friend, avoiding flashlight beams and sneaking around your enemies and mechs, all with the singular goal of murdering you. Health is a precious resource here, and when starting the game you don't have much to work with, so the lethality of guns are extremely important to be aware of, and not alerting all the enemies is extremely dangerous. I mean, seriously, the moment that you're spotted, you're almost guaranteed to get rolled pretty fucking hard by these guys. Especially when it comes to fighting the mechs. Stealth approach does come to feel a bit overpowered once you gain the use of the tranquilizer gun, knocking guards out to kick them right in the face and subsequently murdering them, which is fun the first few times, but when you realize it's the most easiest way of dispatching guards in any area, it does become to get pretty one note. The other main part of this game is what I call the slow parts, or the world building aspects of Riddick. As you make your way through each layer of the prison, you're met with a hub world and given the chance to interact with the prisoners of the area. Helping these guys gives you way more tools at your disposal, like more shivs, knuckle dusters, extra key art in the form of smoke packs, and world building of the hierarchy of the prison. Each area is controlled by a certain gang, and you know it with the old adage of finding the biggest dude in the yard and dominating to establish control. This is exactly what Riddick does. While the side quests are generally fetch quests of finding something or murdering somebody, this keeps you busy in exploring your new space and to learn more about your current prison you're in. From the fighting ring to the mines to everyone wanting to murder Molina in the first area for some reason. I think he raped them all, and this is also the most like a prison, so that would maybe make sense. You begin to feel a part of the world. Hell, there's even a section where you steal a guard uniform and then move amongst the guards in their own quarters, turning what once were your enemies into passive, dare I say, friends? All of them having their own issues that they're dealing with being here at Butcher's Bay. It's not so great for these guys either. Their area is definitely nicer than the prison, but still not all that great of living quarters, and they all have their own problems like I mentioned before that they're contending with. The way the game forces you, the player, to slow down and interact with each new hub space gives grounding to the world that you're in, and I love just talking to all the inmates, each with their own stories as well as why they're there. And they all seemingly know about the infamous Riddick, which further fuels the power fantasy this game is going for. But there is a major detractor in the gameplay, which brings me to speaking about the combat in this game, which I will say feels like ass. You do gain the ability to get firearms from time to time, and to be honest, these all kind of feel like shit. Every shot you fire is projectile based rather than a hit scan, and the spread of these weapons feels all over the place after the first shot, making combat feel more like a spray and pray rather than killing guards before they kill you. As I said, all the bullets in this game are projectile based as well, and it feels like it takes almost like a whole 3 seconds for this bullet to hit this guy in the face. I mean, just watch. And mechs are no slouch either. They need to be circled around and shot in the back in their weak points as well, but the likelihood that you'll ever have just one guarding an area, especially towards the end of the game, is slim. Most of the time there's 2, and in some cases 3. It doesn't help that at several points in Butcher's Bay, it becomes an out-and-out combat zone, throwing stealth out the window completely. I think to the point where the xenomorphs show up and are running rampant all over the prison, an ode to Halo after the discovery of the Flood. There are turrets, guards, mechs, and crawlers everywhere, making the ability to run from shadow to shadow virtually impossible to do. You do gain the power fantasy of using mechs a couple of times in the story as well, and these do feel pretty awesome, giving you a massive edge over the enemy, but these are generally short-lived. The AI in Butcher's Bay at time was pretty okay as well, taking cover in firefights, using grenades and calling them out, and attempting to suppress while moving to cover all feels like that they're trying to stop you in a natural way. In stealth, they can feel a bit busted on occasion, spotting you at random to zone you down. I also wish that there was some sort of alarm system in this game, as it is a prison, and take something something akin to Metal Gear Solid where more guards would continue to show up, but given the lethality of these guards on their own, it may be a good thing that's not in the game. The other aspect that I absolutely adore in Butcher's Bay is the world building, and specifically of Butcher's Bay itself. This is a prison that starts off their prisoners in single max, obviously a super shitty place to be locked up in. In just the visual department alone, this game, even in 2022, is still a looker. From its lighting systems to enhance the stealth, the animation work of the NPCs, to the world of Butcher's Bay as a prison. Every part of this world is detailed and realized to give you way that this prison is a pretty shitty place to be in, built to keep prisoners locked away for eons on end. Multiple door checkpoints to prevent escapes, guard posts marked with a do not cross sign and they will shoot you if you cross, and markings all over the world basically telling you which way is what room, from med bay to ventilations to even the ID tagging area in the vent itself, which is a little weird. For a game released in 2004, you can tell that Starbreeze had a mastery of the hardware at the time, making a game look this stunning on the original Xbox hardware, and to have a world thought out as to where it all feels so interconnected, much like a Dark Souls, makes this game just fun to be in.
Oh man, no. Wait.
The security turrets were a real crowd pleaser.
When it comes to the narrative of Butcher's Bay, as we discussed before, it's pretty one note, but still kind of okay. Your central objective of the game is in the title itself, escape from Butcher's Bay. You start the game in a dream sequence of an escape that serves as both a tutorial for the mechanics of the game as well as the inner workings of Riddick's mind. While slow, it's a pretty solid tutorial, and the main also feels like something Riddick would dream of for sure, about when getting taken to prison, murdering Johns, killing guards until you move through a steamed hallway and wake up. From here you meet Hoxie and Abbott, transporting you to the first area of the game, in an awesome title sequence with a slow walk through the entrance of the prison, seeing all the security measures you will have to go through to get out. This walk makes escape feel almost impossible, as much firepower as there is here as you work your way to the cell. You're seeing guards abuse prisoners, guards yell at guards, everybody's yelling at Riddick, and seemingly, once again as mentioned before, everybody knows who he is, and thus on high alert. Upon reaching your cell, you meet Rust, a puppet for Abbott and ruler of the Aquilian gang. After getting the lay of the single max area, meeting all the inmates, and having a run-in with Abbott, you murder Rust, instigating a prison riot, allowing Riddick to escape in the sewer systems below, with a pretty corny one-liner on the way down.
It ain't the fall that gets you. It's a sudden stop at the bottom.
Using a shotgun from the dead guard with a busted flashlight battery, you move through the sewers to discover you're not alone down here, as you are soon swarmed with mutants the prisoners call Dwellers. Making your way through, you meet Pope Joe, who wants to stitch your arm up from the fall, but needs the power of his blessed voice box, leading Riddick to brave the sewers once more to obtain. Pope Joe seals you up, and Riddick hears a disembodied voice, the voice of Shira from the movies, telling him that he's been blind for far too long, gaining the power of eyeshine and allowing Riddick to get his signature power of seeing in the dark. This is the thread that I was really hoping we get more explanation, but alas, this is basically all we get. And a plot thread that I think was really left hanging. I wish that there was more discovery of these otherworldly, why Riddick is hearing these disembodied voices and why they somehow give him the ability to see in the dark while nobody else is there but him and Pope Joe. This is something I really wish that would get expounded upon, and it even happens once again later and just is kind of left there for the player just to go, okay, I guess that's the thing now. Continuing on, Riddick escapes from the sewers to find himself in Pigland, the home of the guards, leading to a door to the spaceport. Failing the retinal scanner, Riddick decides to go after Abbott to obtain his eyes, and upon reaching his room, bests him in a firefight, and upon moving in for the kill, is stopped by Johns, your original captor, and taken back to Hoxie. Obviously the punishment for Riddick causing so much chaos in the small amount of time he's been there, he's moved down to double max, down to the mines, in a giant box. Upon reaching his final area of the shafts, Riddick begins to gain the trust and admiration of the local inmates down below, who incidentally seem to have a much bigger space to roam around in, despite A, being more hardened criminals, and B, probably did something weren't being put down here in the place where there will never be any sort of sunlight. I guess Hoxie feels that the mines are punishment enough, giving these inmates more room to just kind of hang out in. After participating in the local fight arena, Riddick defeats the champions of the arena, a guard named Bam, and it's taken to the back with no security, where the guards, along with the now healed Abbott, move to kill Riddick away from prying eyes. Again, in the nick of time, as mentioned before, the voice of Shira comes to Riddick, unleashing the rage of Hira, and something that's really described in the movies, which kills all the guards in a massive blast and subsequently murders Abbott in a one-on-one fight. Once again, I wish that this would have been expanded upon, but alas, that's the last we'll ever hear of Shira ever again in the game. Upon return, you hear rumors of a legend of the mines named Jagger Vance, who has a plan to escape Butcher's Bay, piquing Riddick's interest for obvious reasons. Riddick sneaks down to the mines and finds him, and upon doing so, is led down the path of unleashing the alien species hiding down below in the planet crust using a bomb. It's here that this area gets pretty long in the tooth, as you're doing a lot of back and forth tracking in order to obtain this bomb and then subsequently get back to Jagger Vance. You're going through these areas multiple times back and forth, and I do wish that it was a little bit more streamlined as the rest of the game has been thus far. While the mines are fun, they do tend to get pretty stale looking after hour 3 of just walking around in here, and it all begins to kind of look the same. Anyways, with the chaos of the aliens now invading the prison itself, Jagger and Riddick move off to one of the escape ships, only to be stopped by Johns once again in a one-on-one fight, and upon them beating the shit out of each other, Vance ends up shooting both Riddick and Johns by accident and is subsequently killed by the guards looking to put a stop to the escape.
You dying on me, Johns?
No, not yet. They get you good?
I've had worse.
I thought this was gonna be the day, Riddick. The day one of us kills the other.
The day's not over yet.
It's here that Hoxie shows up pissed and reprimanding Johns to take away all of his money and ruin his deal, and getting super pissed with Riddick and throwing him down in triple max, i.e. cryo storage, where he will be kept in cryo sleep in permanence, an idea which makes no sense to me, as wouldn't keeping him alive much longer through the use of cryo sleep just drain more resources from the prison? I digress. The prisoners are given 2 minutes a day to exercise before being put back to sleep, leading Riddick to hijack the prior inmate's pod and getting out into the holding pyramid. Upon killing more guards and robots, Riddick hijacks a heavy mech and blows his way through the entire prison to reach Hoxie, and with the help of a now frustrated Johns, the two attempt to escape the prison. Riddick, wanting to finish the job he started, knocks Johns out and flies the ship into Hoxie's office, and after having a fight with 2 extremely annoying cloaking robots, straps the inmate uniform and goggles that are quintessential to Riddick's look to Hoxie, having the guards kill him instead of who they think they're killing, which is Riddick. Classic move. Johns and Riddick make it to Hoxie's ship and escape the planet and the prison for good. It's here, the credits roll, and we fade to black. While simple, this story fits exactly with what the game is, a long attempt to escape Butcher's Bay, or a prison escape. Going deeper and deeper into the prison really allows you, the player, to explore why Butcher's Bay is so infamous as the prison, and the lengths that they go through to prevent any prisoner escaping it is vast. Overcoming it all with sheer willpower and the gusto that gave Riddick the infamous name in the first place in the lore of the series allows the players to have the power fantasy of being one of the most infamous criminals in this world. While most of the supernatural elements require previous knowledge of the franchise to make any sense, including at the time a movie that hadn't even been released yet, it's still a pretty good entry point for newcomers to the series to find enjoyment as well, with references and callbacks to the movies that spawned the series, keeping the fans happy as well. The game was also designed as an advertisement for the new movie that was on the way as well, coming after Butcher's Bay, with the post-credit scene being that of the trailer for the new Chronicles of Riddick movie, which was an interesting tie-in as well. I also like the relationship between Johns and Riddick here, with Johns being the one to bring him in, and by the end of the game, and having the entire deal fall through his fingers, actually leads John to help Riddick escape the prison, and further cementing and complicating their relationship from here on out, both out to get revenge on Hoxie for putting the two through literal hell. While this game is pretty surface level, I can't help but love it, and while some of the mechanics and AI have aged a lot in the last 18 years, this game still holds up for me in a lot of ways outside of just the pure nostalgia. I beat it in around 6 to 8 hours, so it's a pretty good weekend game, and especially if you're cool with downloading it, I highly suggest that there's a lot here here that you could probably pull out of it. It's definitely worth the time sink for sure. But what did you think about Escape from Butcher's Bay? This game holds a lot of nostalgia for me, and I would love to hear you guys' opinions on it down in the comments below. Please let me know what you guys think about the game as well as this video. And if you've gotten this far in the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be on the lookout for the Dark Athena video coming here real soon, and go check out the other reviews and retrospectives we've done on the channel thus far. Thank you guys for your time, and as always, my name is Brendan, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.